Okay, good morning. I think we're ready to make a start if everybody is okay with that. So good morning and welcome to East Devon District Council's Housing Review Board meeting on Thursday, the 13th of November, 2025. I'm your chair, Councillor Sarah Chamberlain, and the meeting is being recorded and is live on the Council's YouTube channel. Can I remind everyone present to please use their microphone or your comments will not be recorded. Little health and safety announcement. There is no fire drill anticipated today. If the alarm sounds, please leave the building through the nearest fire exit by following the green running man signs above the doors. Please make your way to the rear of the car park and wait for the organiser of the meeting to tell you when it is safe to return. This is a smoke-free building. If you wish to smoke, there is a smoking shelter at the rear of the car park alongside the building. Toilets are available in the stairwell of the building at each floor landing, and water is available in reception. Finally, please make sure all phones are either muted or switched off. Before we begin, I would like to welcome some newly co-opted tenant member, Sid Ford, to the meeting. Welcome. We will now do a roll call of committee members here present and declarations of interest. Please, can you unmute your microphone when you hear your name and confirm by saying present and declaring interest that you may have. Please state your declaration, including which agenda item your declaration relates to. State exactly what the interest is and the specific type of interest you are declaring. When you have confirmed you are present and declared any interest that you may have, please mute your microphone again. Roll call of names.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good morning, councillors. Good morning, everyone. Councillor Chamberlain.
Present.
Councillor Aurora Bailey.
Present, and I'm a member of East Devon District Council. I'm a tenant for over 35 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Burrup.
Present and no interest to declare. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dumper.
Also present, no interest to declare. Thank you, Andrew.
Councillor Parr.
Present, no interest. Thank you.
Councillor Smith.
I'll press the right button. Present and no declarations.
Thank you. Sarah Clark.
Present, no declarations.
Rob Robinson.
Present, no declarations.
Thank you. Rachel Brown.
Present, no declaration.
Thank you. Sid Ford.
Sorry.
If you could confirm if you're present.
Sorry.
Thank you. You're present.
I'm not working.
Thank you. And finally, Wang Tian.
Present, no interest to declare.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Are there any other councillors in the meeting who want to declare an interest in any items listed on the agenda that may affect their ability to remain in the meeting? Or Councillor Gazzard, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to declare an effects NRI. I'm a council tenant and I've got an interest in every item on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gazzard. Rosie, please.
I'm Rosie Dell. I declare an interest in the sheltered housing as I am a sheltered housing tenant.
Thank you, Rosie. Anyone else? No? Lovely, thank you very much. Okay, so that moves us on then to agenda item 1, which is the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 31st of July 2025. Does anyone have a comment or the set of minutes from July 2025? No? Lovely. We all happy to approve the minutes? Yes. Want me to sign the minutes? No. That's fine. It's easier to sign that way. So moving on to agenda item 2 then, apologies.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I have received apologies from Councillor Bloxham.
Thank you, and I believe there's also apologies from Councillor Arnott, non-committee member, but apologies from Councillor Arnott noted on the agenda. Okay, agenda item 3, declarations of interest have already been done on a roll call. I should just add in that I obviously work for Exeter City Council Housing as well. Didn't mention that at the beginning, but always do mention it. So that moves us on then to agenda item 4, public speaking. There are none listed at the moment. Moves us on to agenda item 5, matters of urgency. There are none. Agenda item 6, confidential exempt items. There is one confidential item listed today under part B. Agenda item 7 is the forward plan. This can be found on pages 14 and 15. I'm going to pass over to Andy King to present. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, in front of you, you've got the updated Housing Review Board forward plan. Pretty self-explanatory, but let me know if you have any questions, comments, suggestions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Andy. Outside councillors or anybody wish to comment? Yes, Councillor Goodman, please.
Thank you. Andy, you've got meeting 1, meeting 2, meeting 3, meeting 4. Would it be better to put dates on so we know when they are? Because I got totally confused when meeting 2, 3 and 4 was, just for simplicity.
Thank you. I think that relates to the quarters throughout the year,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll go over to Andy. Thank you.
Yeah, I can have the dates in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else from outside committee have any comments or questions at all? No? Lovely. So moving into committee then, do we have any comments or questions from inside committee? No. Excellent. This is good. So this is for noting. Just to note. So that's brilliant. Thank you very much. So that moves us on then to agenda item 8, which is the staffing update, which can be found on pages 16 and 17. Again, staffing update. Over to Andy King, please, Assistant Director.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yeah, in front of you is the housing staffing update. You'll see in here that there's we're noting some pleasing movement in recruitment to a number of those key management roles, particularly in our property and asset service around our compliance manager, repairs service manager, and our senior surveyor. You'll see in point 1.7 of the report that I'm highlighting in that this report was requested to start coming to HRB to keep the board abreast of recruitment of those key critical management posts. Now that that has been achieved, I am recommending, it's one of the recommendations of the report, that we move to business as usual and that this report ceases to come and we can report to the board by exception should there be any key recruitment concerns or updates in the future. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Outside committee, any questions, comments at all? Councillor Goodman, please.
Thank you. Well, I think we all welcome this. I think it's a real step forward. My only comment would be this: there's a lot of new people started, and it's important that we get the right process to appraise them during their period. So therefore, we're sure they're the right people and help them improve if necessary. I'm sure we've got process, but there's a lot of work involved in doing that over the next few months.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Goodman, that, I believe that's all part of the process going forward. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Councillor Barlow, please.
Thank you, Chair. I don't think it was just about the senior management positions. I think it was about the churn of staff that was concerning the HRB from what I understood. And as long as that has slowed down and there isn't a churn of staff now, so in other words, it's a happier team that are combined, then I'm happy to agree with it. But again, as long as that is guaranteed.
Thank you, Councillor Barlow. Yeah, and I believe that is all in order now. Just staying outside committee, just in case we've got any more No, no more outside committee. Then we come into committee. Councillor Burhott, please.
Thanks, Chair. I concur with what Councillor Barlow said, you know, it's great that we have achieved what we set out to, which is fill these senior management vacancies. Can I suggest that, given that people are the core of this department, and in fact pretty much the whole council, actually we add a couple of KPIs to the monthly standing or the quarterly standing performance report, such as number of vacancies and staff turnover, and therefore we can log those and actually see that these things are being controlled and well managed, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Burhott. We'll go over to Catherine, please.
It's just to say that we do report to Personnel Committee in terms of those KPIs and those performance indicators as any other department. So that is currently reported there. Is that sufficient? Or, because from my perspective, that's what we're trying to do, is reduce the churn, to be honest, Chris, if that's okay.
If I may, Chair, quite happy not to reinvent the wheel, but if you are producing those KPIs, then we might as well have them just put onto the report for this board on a quarterly basis. I mean, it's not reinventing the report. We just, you know, add them to the performance report, if that's okay.
Just to come back on that, yeah, we'll add the link to the report when we send it out. We'll add the link to the Personnel Committee report, if that's okay. Yeah, fabulous. Thank you.
Brilliant. Any more questions or comments from the board? No? Brilliant. So that, again, agenda item 8 is just for noting. So that moves us on then to agenda item 9, which is a finance report, can be found on pages 18 to 20. John Sims, Finance Manager, to present the report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, so this is the finance report updating the board for Q2. The position is that all areas of income and expenditure are within the agreed budget. There are currently no areas of concern to report to members of the board. The forecast position also includes the budgeted transfer to the HRA reserve. This is shown in the first table within the report. So this is the transfer of £250,000 back into the general housing reserve. So that will increase it to 2.014 million as at the year end. This time round it is an abbreviated report, Chair. Apologies for that. There are capacity issues within the finance team with budget prep and external audit happening at the same time this year. And a fuller report will be brought back to the board for the next quarter. I do hope, however, that today's update does provide the board with assurance that there are no material matters to bring to your attention at this stage. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Again, outside committee, Councillor Barlow, please.
Thank you, Chair. I've got a few questions. One is definitely for John, and the other may not be for now, but you can tell me I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. Can you just confirm that we are increasing our borrowing this year by £14.3 million in total? Last year it was £5.3 million, but we're going up by £14.3 million this year. And is that expected to carry on the following year, to borrow another big chunk of money to cover whatever? And that's the first question. The efficiency program that we had to put in because of the finances and everything, I just wonder how that's going. Do we get the efficiency program we were talking about, or is that somewhere later? The income maximisation and the poor performing assets that don't contribute to overall strategic objectives, we're disposing of them, and I wonder about the value, number or percentage of them that we have done.
John, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the budgeted borrowing sum is the 14 million. So that was what was approved. In terms of that number, it will change. So come year end, so taking last year, for example, come year end, that number will reflect the capital spend that's gone on. So it's quite an ambitious programme that was agreed. So expectation is that the actual number will be lower, but nonetheless, the 40 million is what was agreed. In terms of the affordability of that, the interest cover calculation is still reasonable. The business modelling that we used that went into the business plan is all part of that calculation. So from that point of view, we see it as reasonable. In terms of next year's borrowing, we're obviously currently working on that one, so we can provide an update soon on that one. In terms of the efficiency updates, I don't know if that's one for Liam, perhaps.
Thank you, John. I'm going to go over to Andy, please.
I think in terms of the efficiency programme, also there's a number of workflows that go into that. We're going through budget setting at this time, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, John, budgets will be coming forward at the January HRB, so the fruits of that work will be evident in budget setting for the next financial year.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gazzard, please.
Thank you, Chair. It's just a quick question on tenant satisfaction measures. I note what is said in the report, and that you don't track every work that is done. I'm wondering whether it would be worth actually doing that, because I think you'd find that you get a higher satisfaction rate than what we're achieving at the moment. And just on a personal note, I had to call out an emergency service a couple of weeks ago, and I thought I might have had a phone call from somebody to say, what did you think of the service? And I haven't. But I just
Councillor
like,
Gazzard, just quickly, we're on the finance report at the moment. I think that
sorry.
I think those questions might tie into a later
I
item.
do apologise.
Not a problem at all. Please
Sorry,
re-raise them later.
I'll speak myself now.
So just sticking with the finance report at the moment, do we have any other questions from outside committee? No? So coming inside committee, do we have any questions for anyone on the committee? Councillor Burhart, please.
Thank you, Chair. I absolutely hear what Andy's saying about the forecast being put together for 26-27, where we will hopefully see efficiency savings. But I believe, and John may want to correct me on this, that the clawing back of the overspend was to be over 3 years, commencing 25-26. 26-27 and 27-28. So actually, I think we were to have 250,000 a year off the budget each year for those 3 years. So this is why Councillor Barlow is presumably asking the question for this year's savings, not next year's savings. I have one other point, if we can, and then just pass it on. And this may sound slightly contentious. We have historically been very good and had an excellent record of bad debt for collection from our rents, etc., and our council tax. Now the council tax being actually, so I'll drop that. My question is related to council tax revenue, so that's not related to this. Thank you. I'll drop that. Just the point about the budget. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Burhart. Andy, did you want to come in?
Yeah, no, fair point. So I think John alluded the forecast in this budget update for this year is that we will be meeting that 250,000 contribution back into the reserve fund. That was already built into this year's budget and forecasting. Further efficiencies of a consideration around if we follow our capital programme, therefore the efficiencies we need to make in revenue to offset the capital spend in the future, which starts from the next financial year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from, yes, Sarah Clark, please.
It's just a bit of clarification. In the final set of figures for the financing and movement and reserves, we've not actually got anything in for 25-26 year to date. Is that right, or why?
Thank you. John, do you want to come in on that one, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so at this point, in terms of the forecasting for the year, the assumption is that it's budgeted until that picture becomes a bit clearer. That's the assumption that we make at this stage.
Thank you. Any other questions at all? No? Lovely. Thank you very much, everyone. So that also is just to note. So then that moves us on to agenda item 10, which is Q2 performance report from Tenancy Services. This can be found on pages 21 to 30, and this is to be presented by Darren Hicks, the Tenancy Services Manager, please.
Thank you, Chair. Andrew. My child, apologies. Morning, everyone. Hope everyone's well. As Chair just said, the main body of the reports of my report is in the actual agenda item pack you were sent. I just thought I'd pick out a few key items, and obviously happy to address any questions you may have. As you can see, rent performance was high over the last quarter again. Target was 98% for income collection, and we've achieved 100.06% again with regards rent arrears as a percentage of annual rent debit. Performance was 1.26%, which is well below target, which is great news. In addition to that, the rentals team collected £66,000 for our tenants gained through financial referrals through Homemaker, which is fantastic, and also an additional £14,000 through discretionary housing payments, which really affects and helps people obviously during the cost of living crisis, which is great news. Estate management performance, as you've probably seen from the report, it seems to be we are actually making gradual incremental changes on all of their performance indicators, which is great. ASB cases, as you can see, of 40 evictions, which is pleasing. We've only had one, which is actually someone abandoned the property, so they're adequately accommodated elsewhere, which is fantastic news. Estate inspections have gone up to 78%, not quite 100%, but that was primarily because we lost a member of staff due to, well, they found another job, and another person was off long-term sick, so we didn't quite get to 100% this quarter, but again, we've gone up from 44% to 78%, which is great news. Again, estate management, again, tenancy visits on track. They are 73% of the annual total have been completed. New tenant visits, as you can see, we're getting into those new tenancies within 10 weeks of new tenancy starting in 61% of cases. And if you look outside target, we're getting into the properties in 94% of instances, which is, again, great news. Similar thing with sheltered housing. Sheltered housing, as you can probably see, below where I thought we should be, well, where we should be, sorry, with regards to tenancy visits. So I've asked our sheltered housing managers to have a look at that for us. And similarly with the new tenant visits, I've asked them to have a look at why we're not meeting the target of 100% or getting as near as possibly we can. The communities team, there's no narrative in the actual report, so I just thought I'd put some in this one. That they do a series of events in the communities, which I know most of you have been involved with in some way, shape or form over the last years you've been with us. Obviously, at a Resident Collect Festival in Sidmouth, Trump's Court, there has been a coffee morning. I don't know, those who are local to Sidmouth will be aware that we're renovating the community centre there, so residents have been involved in that from start stage one. Residents Association, again, which I know there's some members here of Orchard Close and maybe not Tully Gardens, but they've been meeting regularly to discuss and share ideas of how they've been adhering and addressing their communal gardens. Those of you who did attended, the Resident Collect Festival was a great event, held in the summer, helped by the weather, of course. We did a little survey at the end of that, and of the 95 tenants that attended, 95% stated they enjoyed the day very much. So thank you to all that attended, and particular thank you to Rebecca and her team for organising the event. It was a great day. Similarly, those of you may be aware, we do a community initiative fund, so I just thought it would be great to highlight some of the work that the tenants obviously apply for funding. We grant that funding, they go through a application process. And some examples here of some of the gardens that actually our tenants are working on, making areas look great for the local communities. And finally, we had a garden competition this year. We had 40 entries, primarily, if I'm honest with you, from shelter tenants. And it was great to see tenants went out with one of our officers to vote and to grade the gardens. And as you can see, it was a great success. The day was great, and there's a wide span of ages there that attended there, from 8 years old up to 102. And personally would like to thank Rebecca's team, the communities team and the MSOs for organising these events. It was really feel good, and obviously thank you to our portfolio holder for coming along and presenting the awards. Okay. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much indeed. Outside committee, any questions? Councillor Barlow.
Sorry.
I wanted to say well done. I've been involved with the Trump's Court. Been watching what they've been doing down there. I've been to the comms meetings. I know they're going to moan, but at the end of the day, they are well informed, and the work that's being done there is exceptional. And I've been to many of the open days. I've been to the Lyonbourne open days that you run down there, or someone from Housing Rights. Again, the care that you give the community, as far as I'm concerned, is exemplary, and well done. I don't say it very often. I probably don't say it enough, but well done.
I like this one. Councillor Goodman.
Ooh, it's just one point on the antisocial behaviour. There's no target in there. Is that because the target should be 0? And secondly, there seems to be a lot of open ASB cases, and you list those. Is there any reason for that, and are they just difficult to resolve?
Darren.
Ideally, yeah, it would be 0. Obviously, such a society, I don't think we're ever going to get to 0, to be honest with you. We have done some work on the ASB cases in the last sort of 6 months or so. We had a lot more than that at one stage. We are working to reduce the number, of course, and to sort of cut down the time frames of dealing with ASB cases. We're also looking at recategorising some of the ASB cases, because a lot of the what we class as our system as ASB cases, I would argue, are probably tenancy management issues as opposed to ASB.
Thank you very much. Councillor Westerman, please.
I would like to agree with Ian, but I'm afraid I can't. The visitors that come round about once a month will shout from across the road, "Are you okay?" And that's it. That's it. There's no organisation for that group of people. I mean, there's no centre, so it's difficult. But they are not satisfied with, and they won't come into the house to discuss anything. So, yeah.
Would you like to give me 5 minutes after so we can have a chat? Would that be okay? Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you ever so much. We're just sorting out the hearing side of things for Sid, because he can't hear what's being said, so just bear with us a little bit while that's being sorted. Do we have anyone else from outside committee that wanted to say something? Sorry, yes, Councillor Bailey, you are on my list. Apologies.
Thank you. I'm a tenant of East Devon. My question was twofold. There's a lot of people I know in Exmouth and surrounding areas who've been on what is described as a waiting list. And when I talk to various people here, I am told there is no waiting list. So I wonder if you could clarify that, please, for a start. Is there one or isn't there one? For houses, for accommodation.
For accommodation. You'll need to turn your mic off.
Sorry, Councillor Bailey. I don't manage the allocation side of the business, but there is a waiting list for local authority accommodations called Devon Home Choice.
There is a waiting list?
Yes.
Because the reason I ask is because we get a lot of people out of the area, from Exeter, Teignmouth, Torquay, moving into Exmouth. And the local people are saying, well, I've been on this waiting list for years. Why has so-and-so just appeared from Torquay or Exeter? Which I have difficulty in explaining to them. And this is a problem that's been going on for a long time. And I wonder if it could be addressed so we can get more of our actual local people into our local houses. which I think would be a very good idea.
Darren, okay.
Thank you.
Houses are allocated on the basis of priority, regardless of a local. There is a local connection established, but it's primarily done on priority as opposed to the number of years on the waiting list. And it's a Devon-wide allocation system.
Just doesn't seem to be working.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from outside committee? No? Councillor Gazzard?
Thank you, Chair. I'm on the right page now. Apologies for that. Yes, thank you for the report. It makes good reading. I just got a query on customer satisfaction. How do you decide? Is there a format of where customers are asked for their views on the repair that they've had? The only reason I say that, Chair, is that I had to call out the emergency team a couple of weeks ago, and I have to say they were absolutely superb, and even the people in the office that I spoke to were absolutely superb. But
Councillor Gazzard,
am I on the wrong thing again?
I am really sorry.
No, it's me. I'm not quite with it this morning,
It's
Chair.
not a
Sorry.
problem at all, but I think this is probably best placed on the next agenda item under assets and
Okay.
repairs. We're getting closer. It's the next one. We can probably then hear the report that comes from that. It might answer some of your questions, and then we'll bring it in on that agenda item.
I just
Just
got
wait one.
Yeah, I
we'll
just
bring you
got
back
confused. Thank you.
in. No problem at all. So, sorry?
The hearing loop stuff, if we...
Hearing loop, are you sorting that one out? Can you hear me now? Just.
I can hear you.
Brilliant. That's fantastic.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, so we're coming inside committee now. We're still on agenda 10, item 10, tenancy services report. Inside committee, do we have any questions or comments from anyone? Councillor Bailey.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to comment on the Tenants Festival, and I'm talking as a tenant now, as well as a councillor. And it was a very good day. I'd like to thank everybody that were involved in it, because there was a lot of work involved in it. And it was a smashing day, and it's nice for the tenants to see what goes on. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Burhop, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd also like to commend the management team on this set of results. It's generally all going in the right direction, and that's really encouraging. So well done to everybody. There's a huge amount of work going in, and it's paying off. So well done. Two things, actually. I should have checked my phone earlier, and there are apologies from Councillor Melanie Martin. So could we record those, please? So apologies for that. And secondly, I would like to propose that the council's processes for pursuing revenue bad debt from our council tenants is reviewed at the next meeting in a Part B. The reason for that is actually we're seeing increasing media coverage of council debt collection, particularly for council tax and council revenues generally, and the processes that are undertaken for those. And that's actually eliciting a government review as we speak into these processes by the local governments minister. So given that our agenda for the next meeting is relatively light, I would propose a report in Part B of what are the processes for council rent recovery and bad debt pursuit, please. Thank you.
Just to confirm, you're talking about council rent arrears as opposed to council tax? Andrew King, please.
Thanks, Chair. Hi, Chris. Yeah, so when you, just sorry for my own mind, would you like to see, when you say review, you mean as in, would you guys like to understand the process? That's why at first I was thinking you wanted us to review it before. I was like, oh, I'm not sure that's going to happen. Yeah, that's something we could do. We could either do that, I'm not sure we even need to do it as a public, we could do that as a workshop with the HRB around just a bit of a process, and we can add that to one of those focus workshops that we do around our arrears process, and get the team to come and explain how that works in housing, because it's very different to council tax collection. We follow very different procedures here. We can talk through that.
Councillor Barrett, would you like this on the forward plan for the next meeting?
Yes, that's what I'm proposing, and I leave it to your discretion, Chair, as to whether it's a Part A or Part B matter. Thank you.
Would you prefer it as a workshop briefing?
I don't think
Or do you want a proper report with it?
I think all we need to do is understand what are the processes for the pursuit of bad debt, so that we can understand what's under scrutiny at the moment is the level of aggression that councils are pursuing, and therefore it's actually a matter for our reputation, if you like, to understand how our officers and debt collection agencies are being utilised in our name to collect. We have fantastic sort of council revenue collection statistics here. I'm trying to get underneath how was that achieved. If we're using bailiffs at the drop of a hat to collect it, that's one method to get to 100%. If we're using a series of other processes to get to 100%, that's another method. So that's what I'm trying to understand, and I think reputationally it's in our interests to understand that.
Thank you, Councillor Barhop. And Charles, please.
Am I on? Yes. So there is what's called a pre-action protocol, which for social landlords, which has to be followed, and that involves welfare visits, informing the tenants that we are commencing a formal legal process. All the documentation for welfare visits, Equality Act assessments, etc., has to be produced as paperwork to the court, and the court will only make an order when all those documents are confirmed and approved. And following that, the order will be made for the debt, either for a suspended possession order, which fundamentally means that the tenant will remain in situ, but asked to pay a small contribution to the arrears plus their monthly rent, or an order for possession will be made. And then there is a process, once possession has been pursued and the property is taken back, there may well be a process to pursue what's called former tenancy debt. And that's probably something that you would want the report on how we pursue that. We cannot take a property back without what is called a warrant of possession, and that is overseen by appointed county court bailiffs, not private debt agency. The only time we would use private debt agencies are for former tenancy debts. But I mean, that process can be explained to you in a report by the rental manager if that's what you require. So there are processes that are followed, and aggressive behaviour isn't accepted, particularly by the courts, because you have to show at every step that you've followed the pre-action protocol.
Thank you. Catherine, please.
Just, I think what you're looking for, Councillor Bahura, if you don't mind me paraphrasing, is you're looking for that reassurance that the processes that we follow are person-centred and are considered and are not heavy-handed. So we can absolutely provide that assurance. And again, I'll ask, Chair, whether or not you want to cover that as a Part B, where we can kind of potentially be more conversational and bring the staff in potentially that manage those processes. They can talk you through it because they're the experts. It's totally up to you how you want that presented. It's not a problem at all.
Okay, I mean, it's not just Please Chris Day, so, it's for the rest of the committee and the wider audience as well. But, particularly from the tenants' perspectives, I'd just like to allow them to open up and be able to say, actually, this is our experience. This is when one of our tenants, one of our residents falls into arrears, this is what they're experiencing on the ground. And, in a Part B, they may be more, I'm putting words in their mouth potentially, but they may be more willing to open up and with that. Yeah.
So if you're looking for the reassurance, I think a Part A report's probably the
Okay. Yeah.
We could potentially, if you wanted to, we could do a Part A, make it the last part of the agenda, and then if we want to, we can move into a Part B if that would give more comfort and opportunity for free speech. So yeah, we can absolutely do that. Prepare a report for Part A and then move into Part B if we feel it's appropriate on the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 100% happy with that. I'd like it to be open to people to see and that discussion wider for people to see, but also then if anybody feels they would like to have that discussion within a more closed group, we can move it to Part B. So I think that addresses both sides for everybody, if everyone's happy with that. Brilliant, thank you. So I have Councillor Dumper next, please.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I was looking through the detail under 10.3 of this report. I mean, I'm clear that that the results generally were good, but I noted two particular issues. First, on whether their tenants satisfied their home is safe, and secondly, whether they're being well informed. And both of those indicators fell away, and I'm quite concerned about that, really, because I think they're two important indicators and we're not arriving at the target. I just wondered whether there were any comments from housing officers at all on that.
Thank you. Darren, we're still in your area. I don't know if you had any comments on that at all. Catherine can pick it up, it's fine.
Would you mind, Catherine? Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep, I mean, the figures you're talking about, Tim, I think is a margin of 5% drop, isn't it? So it is minimal, but equally that doesn't mean we disregard it. It is something for us to look at. And each time we do these surveys, it's not the same group of people that we survey a different group. So it only gives us a kind of quarterly snapshot. So each quarter they will differ because we're asking a different group of people, and then overall then in the year, it gives us an overall figure, really. So we will see that kind of up and down. But nonetheless, it's when it becomes a trend across each quarter, that's a concern. What's happening? Why are people feeling like that? But yeah, it's just something for us to keep an eye on rather than giving me any alarm bells at the moment. But it is absolutely a valid point to raise, so thank you.
Thanks very much, Catherine.
Thank you. Any further? We're inside committee now, Councillor Barlow, I'm sorry. Any further questions from inside committee? No? Yep, Rosie,
I'd
please.
just like to make a comment as a tenant. I run a residents' association, and generally, overall, we have seen a good increase in all the services, which I'd like to thank you for. Yes, it's generally getting better, I think. I'm on the repairs panel and the complaints panel, and we've seen improvements, which is great.
That's lovely to hear. Thank you very much, Rosie. No further questions. Excellent. So then that moves us on to agenda item 11. the Q2 performance report for property and assets, which can be found on pages 31 to 40, to be presented by Nathan Muggeridge, Corporate Lead Housing, Property and Assets, please.
Sorry, good morning, everyone. So as said, you've got the summary report in front, the detailed report in front of you, and this is just a summary of that report. Okay, so the first bit we want to highlight is around the tenant satisfaction measures, and particularly the repairs element within that. We are starting to see some sort of positive signs there, particularly when we compare the Q2 performance with previous year. And there is that upward trend in terms of satisfaction with repairs and repairs getting done, completed within a timely manner. However, that report is also flagging some other issues that we definitely need to start addressing, which has led us to pull together this improvement plan, which is everything from mapping our processes, updating how we're measuring performance. We are also looking for customer feedback, so we've got a new telephony system come in, and we're looking at how we can use that to make calls back to tenants after repairs have been completed to get that sort of more immediate impact on or understanding of customer satisfaction. We're also starting to deploy our new surveyors in different ways in terms of patch-based working, so they're taking more ownership of their areas and have a better understanding of what's going on there. We're also looking at how our call centre team works, so we're starting to try and move them to be more proactive, so they're not just taking calls, but they're also making more proactive calls out to tenants. So we're working through that plan, and so we hope to see further improvements in that performance in future surveys. As we last HRB, we presented the repairs policy, and that was on the back of AWAB's law coming in, which has now come into effect on the 27th of October. This is a phased sort of introduction of really essentially making sure that we're taking customer safety sort of as a priority. And the first phase is obviously with damp and mould, and we now have some very strict timescales in terms of how we respond to that, depending on the severity of that risk. In next year, we've got other risk areas will come into being in terms of fire safety and falls, and then the final element will come in 2027. I'd say we've brought in the new repairs policy. We're also changing now our systems and particularly our processes of how we deliver on the requirements of AWAB's law. We've also done a big training piece, so both internally what briefings happening where we've essentially got the whole of housing onto some calls to explain what this is and what it means. And we've also got some external training that's ongoing. Further to that, we've also got a communication plan that's ongoing. So we've gone out on the back of the rent statements informing tenants this month about AWAB's law and how they can report issues. In terms of the impact, we saw a spike in calls on the 27th, but things have definitely settled down since then. And really, we see probably the main risk from this in actually being more disrepair cases in the future. In terms of repairs performance, so we're continually to increase our performance around percentage of repairs completed on target, which is great news. Some of that is around getting our systems sorted out, and we still know we've got a bit more work to do around our gas contract on that, and we will be working on that in the next quarter. The one area that we absolutely need to get a handle on is our disrepairs position. So you can see from the graph there that we have a significant backlog, and we have a number of cases that are going into breach. We've put these new resources, particularly this new repairs manager, given the task of resolving this and starting to improve that performance, and he's already starting to make steps or taking steps to resolve this in terms of making sure surveyors are going out as soon as these jobs come in, and also making sure we've got the contracting resource there to deal with this backlog. Void's performance continues to be a good news story for us in terms of the void times, particularly for standard jobs, continues to come down, really through just good management of that process. The one area we are starting to look at is the long-term voids, which is impacting on our longer, sort of wider loss of rent position, and we're looking at how we can use the disposal policy to address that. Here's customary pictures of sort of a pre and post void. So you can see that these are the impacts we're having through our void process. So we are smarting the properties up, but we are also not removing kitchens for the sake of it. You know, if they are still serviceable, we're leaving them in place, and we will come back and do them in future years when they're required. terms of compliance, we've got back on, we resolved the issue around the lift checks, so we're now back to nearly 100% across the board. There is a slight issue with one of there's Millway Community Centre where we had to cap the gas off, but that's now been resolved. Team have got a bit of a challenge around that we now need to procure a number of contracts now to deal with the outstanding remedial works, but we have a plan now for doing that. Just one case study on Trump's Court, so we know the reliability of that lift has been a bit of an issue recently. A lot of this relates to the fact that it's sort of open to the air or open to the salty air that's in Sidmouth. We've now put in a programme of sort of enhanced servicing, recognising that obviously the salty air is causing issues with that lift. And touch wood, we are starting to see a better reliability around that, but we will keep monitoring that to see how we can get that reliability of that lift back to where it needs to be. In terms of planned works performance, so we've set up a system whereby repairs can be referring works back to the plan team who are better set up to deliver these, more wider, more complex projects. So we've seen a significant number of those referrals come through, which is the orange line or the orange bar at the top of the chart. But in terms of the programme of works, the programmes of work that have been delivered, that hasn't really changed because we haven't actually got to the point of increasing the capacity of that team. Works we do have ongoing at the moment is Trump's Court, so that's new window replacement, decoration, and also enhancement of the community area around there. So we have a normal programme of sort of bathroom and external works adaptations ongoing. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight into what property and assets are doing at the moment. So we have a number of challenges due to some historic backlogs that we are now trying to address, and I hope in future meetings we can show how we are making progress in resolving those. That's it for me. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gazzard, your time is now.
Thank you for the report. And actually, my question has been answered, I think, in the presentation. So thank you for your patience.
You are more than welcome. Councillor Barlow, please.
Thank you, Chair. We've got the capital. Of course, we heard that earlier. We're borrowing the capital, so we've got the money to do these works. Is it just that you haven't got enough people in your department then to do these planned projected works, which is the thing that brings all the houses up to date, which makes them better, which lowers the repairs, etc., etc.? Is it literally you haven't got, I know they've concentrated on other areas, but they haven't concentrated on your area enough, or what?
No, so we've got the plan to increase the capacity of that team, but it's not only just the people. We need to make sure the process is there, and we also need to make sure we are delivering more of that capital work through planned rather than doing it through repairs. And it's that shift that's sort of ongoing at the moment.
Sorry, through you, Chair. Have we any idea when you're going to be? Because obviously we put in the budget. We heard from John that there was a budget. We're not likely to spend that budget. Again, when are we hoping that we are going to, we make a budget, what's the point of making a budget if we're not going to spend it? So when are we hoping we're going to catch up so that we spend our budget or lower our budget in the first place?
So we're doing our budgeting at the moment, but let's hope next year that we are delivering our budget. So we're in that position where, what we said we were going to deliver, we are delivering.
Thank you very much. I'm going to bring Andrew in as well. Yes, I am. No, yes, I am. Yes, no?
I think it's been answered now, actually, to be fair. So thank you, Chair.
That's absolutely fine. I'm just checking. I'm just checking. Councillor Goodman, please.
Thank you. Just a couple of points. On page, was it page 38, you've got compliance, point 17, but there's no commentary there. And secondly, the asbestos management surveys 99.25, but it's not mentioned in the commentary that we didn't reach 100%.
Apologies, I will go back and resolve that. So admin error on my part.
Didn't know if there was something missing from it, that was all.
I don't think so, but I'll check and come back to you.
I note on your presentation that you did just now that the asbestos surveys were at 99.8, I think it was. So. Okay, 99.2. They were on the presentation, so I'm sure that they'll be looked at. Thank you. Councillor Bailey.
Thank you, Sarah. I wonder if someone could tell me how long is it taking to, on average, to get the voids up and running from when they're empty to when they've been repaired and when they're leased to a new tenant? Because this was a little bit slow in previous years, and I wonder if you've caught up on it at all. Thank you.
Thank you. This was brought up not that long ago. Nathan, please.
Yeah, one of the slides we put up, we showed that we've brought like the standard voids, the basic voids back from, well, it was 200 days back in 23-24 to Q2 performance this year was 58 days. So that's how long it's taken us to turn those standard voids around.
Well, it's an improvement. Thank you. That's good news.
Yeah, I did note there was a good improvement there. Next, anybody else outside of committee? No? Okay, coming into committee. Councillor Burhart, please.
I'd just like to commend the the manager in question on the void performance in getting them back from 207 days in 23-24 to 58 days in the last quarter. I mean, the lady or gentleman concerned should be issued immediately with a cape and ordered to wear underwear on the outside. But it is phenomenal performance. It is. It's also of note that the disrepair is going to now fall under their management as well. So we hope to see a very similar performance in improvement there. One area on voids that I don't think has been covered on this report, and apologies if it has, is the number of voids. So I couldn't see a report on the number of voids that are actually available and the relative trend of that. If I look at the chart on item 16 of your report, it shows relative flatlining on percentage of rent lost through properties that are void, which implies that the number of voids is relatively flatlining, if the two are correlated, which I would assume they are. Can you comment on that, please?
Yeah, so we'll include the number of voids in future reports. Typically we do about 300 a year, but we have actually seen a recent spike due to legal proceedings on a batch of voids all coming in at once. So that has created a bit of an issue for us in September, October time. And so we might see some deterioration of performance, you know, in Q3. But we're pretty confident because of our position at the moment that that can be managed. But yeah, we'll include the future.
Catherine.
Just to add, they are in there at point 15 on page 37. It is referenced, it's just within a sentence. So to just say Nathan has put them in, so Nathan, they are in there. But obviously this report is massive. So, you know, you're forgiven for not remembering off the top of your head, but you had included them in there. So yeah, so as Nathan said, you can see the spike there in Q2 where we've picked up a number more. So just for those of you who don't have the document open in front of you, so we were reporting 62 in Q1 and it jumped to 87 in Q2. So that gives you an indication of the workload. If you think we're also turning them round really quickly, you can imagine how many that are coming in and we're having to turn around. So it is a large piece of work. Notwithstanding, obviously, the opportunity for us to review some of those other properties as well and the previous policy that we've put forward to this group at the last meeting, I think, or maybe the meeting before, where we looked at disposals options and things like that. So all of there's such a huge amount of work that's going on in the background around voids and how we're managing them to give you that assurance. So it's not only just the performance and operational levels, it's also those recommendations being put forward to the leadership team and to ELT around how we move forward and improve our stock.
Brilliant, thank you. Rob Robinson, please.
Oh, gotcha. Firstly, I've had a few repairs. I became a council tenant a year ago, very grateful. I think I was, by the people around me, was sort of drawn to the fact that I was sort of given a negative way that complaints were dealt with and how the people around me felt they would go. But I'm going to be honest, I've had a really I've had a few repairs, but they have been dealt with really quite quickly. And if they needed to be cancelled, they've communicated well, we've rebooked, and I think it really gave me satisfaction. I do have an outstanding 7-monthly damp issue, which hasn't been followed up, but that's another thing. Also, I'm drawn to Millway Rise, where we have you'd mentioned about the gas repair that was done there on a building that's not being used, and the uncertainty about what's happening to that building. And I think collectively as a community, I think it's one of the things that whenever I mention I'm coming to the HRB, that people go, well, what's happening with that building? And I think, is it time that we let the people know what's happening to that building so they can at least get used to it, and any complaints they may have can be sort of risen up now? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rob, if you have a quick chat with Nathan after with reference to the repair, that would be great. Thank you.
Just to say, Rob, in terms of the Millway Rise Community Centre, we will get together, because I haven't had a recent update either, so we will get together and we'll get an update for you and the community on Millway. As you know, and I think I've talked to you before, or talked to this committee before, you know, I was concerned about the stability of that building. There was kind of significant concerns, and I was so concerned about people being in that building and operating it. And we have looked at alternative options. We did start to talk about what options there were within the area to look at maybe a potential development, all sorts of different things. But I need to just catch up with key people to just have an understanding of where we are and where we're going with it. And we will absolutely not only come back here with it, but we will also make sure that we speak with residents in Axminster. So not a problem.
Thank you. Councillor Dumper, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yeah, just as a counterweight really to my my earlier nitpicking about specific statistics, I'd like just to refer back to the open meeting with staff, etc., that we had a while ago around the awards made, and what we see here is the statistics improving overall. This one on voids, of course, amazingly. I mean, that's huge. My colleague Chris here alluded earlier to superheroes and underwear and that sort of thing, and he mentioned a lady or a gentleman. Now, I think what I'd like to say is this has been a team effort, and this is something that was emphasised when Catherine spoke at that event earlier, and I'd like to say thank you to the whole team.
It's lovely to hear. Thank you very much. And everyone, yeah, is doing amazingly. Sarah Clark, no, yes, Sarah Clark, please.
Sorry, I don't want to put a damper on it. I hope I won't. Given how important the Ian Williams contract is for us, I mean, it's massive. What sort of contract is it? Have we got an end date? Is there an alternative when we get to that point?
I will go over to Catherine.
So we're currently in year 7 of a 10-year, oh, bear with, hang on, I'm looking at Andy, we're trying to think. Yeah, we're in year 7 of a 10-year contract with them. So we have, so we meet with them on a monthly basis to talk about any key core issues and any matters that may be of concern.
It's not that far in the future, and I think, I mean, not for now, but I think we need to be looking at what we do leading up to that point. I mean, is it monopoly in effect and we haven't got any alternatives?
Catherine, please.
I mean, ultimately, there are lots of alternatives for us. And the thing that's thrown a little bit of a spanner in, as you've probably heard in other meetings, potentially, is LGR. So local government reorganisation has thrown a little bit of a spanner in. So I had all sorts of different ideas and plans to potentially put forward. And LGR has kind of obviously put a bit of a sideswipe on some of that. But equally, what LGR will give us is a real opportunity for us to look at potentials of moving forward. So, you know, we don't know what that looks like just yet. We are guessing that we may be joining with the other two stockholding authorities in terms of, it would make, if I was part of deciding how this looked, that's what I would recommend, is that that housing stock all came together, because then you get economies of scale and you can kind of provide better services. And at that point, obviously, you'd be looking at if there's an existing labour force that currently deliver the repairs rather than having a contractor. All of those things would all have to come into that conversation and that dialogue at that point. But at the moment, as I said, we don't know what that looks like, which gives us a level of uncertainty. So to plan for the future is slightly tricky beyond that 3 years at the moment. But we are absolutely looking at those options still, and we're having a number of different I'm having a number of different considerations in my mind of what that could look like in future. But until we get that kind of nod really from central government as to how they see the future of Devon looking, we're a little bit tied.
Thank you. Councillor Bailey, please.
Thank you, Chair. I apologise I couldn't get to the meeting last time. What I'd like to know is what's happening with the alarm systems on the sheltered accommodation. Is that moved on? And also, I was very disappointed that some of the community centres were shut down. Excuse me. How's that working? How's that working with the tenants? Because the community centre is gone. So where are they going to refer anything? I know they can ring East Devon, but you know, the bigger picture is, if anything else, people checking the support officers. How's that working, please?
I'll need to, again, speak with the team to find out, but my understanding is it's only Millway that actually is temporarily closed. The other community centres are open and are running. In the example where we have closed Millway, we liaised with all of the relevant groups that we're working with, that were operating out of the community centre, and helped and tried to signpost as to where and find alternative accommodation for those community groups to meet. The MSO visits, I'm looking at Darren now, the MSO visits are still going ahead. There's absolutely no change in any of that. And I understand that some of the hubs and things are still taking place, and people are helped to be able to attend those, should they so wish. Darren, did you have something you wanted to just quickly add?
Sure. We are looking at Burnside or Ratcliffe House at the moment. It's looking at being leased out, so it's temporarily closed at this moment in time. But there will be new tenants in that property, and they will be offering a similar sort of service that was there before.
Thank you. Yep.
What about the alarm systems, please?
Sorry, the alarm systems, yes, that was raised.
The alarm system for the home safeguard, yeah? Yep, so that's all part of a rolling programme. So that work is all taking place right now, rolling out to the people with highest priority need, i.e. the most vulnerable, and then working backwards thereafter. So that work is ongoing. Again, if people want an update on home safeguard, if there's an interest, we can hold a separate session on that, an information session and an update session on home safeguard, if that's something that people would be interested in.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Nathan, just a question about lift services. It's an interesting thing, because obviously so many of our, some of our buildings rely heavily on those lifts. We have a set of flats in Axminster Poplar Mount that has a chronic issue with its lift. Can you reassure me that that is being looked at because I know it's been an ongoing issue for many, many years. What's the general process of how lifts are looked at and its viability as a building?
Okay, so on that particular one, I'll come back to you. I'll go and get you some details, but generally around our lift management, we have to do safety checks on them periodically to make sure they are functional, etc. That will flag any maintenance issues out of it. If they aren't working, then that comes back to us and we are repairing that as and when. But if there is that sort of ongoing issue, like what we've done at Trump's Court, we can potentially do something similar.
Thank you very much, everyone. No more questions from inside committee? No? That's great. So that is also to note. So that would move us on then to agenda item 12. We're at just gone 11:15. Do people just want a quick 5-minute break? Because I see a couple of people moving around and that, just to get up, stretch legs, hop to the toilet. So it is
17 minutes past.
17 minutes past. We'll say 11:30, give you all a chance to get a drink and go to the toilet. Go on.
Order.
Hello, everyone. Are we ready to restart? I think everybody is back. That needs to be here now. Councillor Bailey, take your seat. So, just carrying on from where we were, we left on finishing agenda item 11. Now moving on to agenda item 12. This is the Housing Complaints Performance Report, which can be found on pages 41 to 49. We're going over to Tanya Traylen, Housing Performance Lead, to present the report, please.
Thank you, Chair. I trust you've all had the opportunity to read through the report prior to today's meeting. I believe the report is fairly self-explanatory and sets out some key achievements and vast improvements that the Council has made to the complaints handling process to date. Notably, there's a significant shift in performance surrounding our response times to both stage 1 and 2 complaints, as outlined in section 1 of the report. Whilst we know that we have some way to go, the trajectory is promising and is demonstrating a sustainable progress. Since April 25, we've embedded some new practices in terms of complaints handling as set out in the enclosed action plan. This has included a review of the tone of voice in partnership with the Tenants' Complaints Scrutiny Panel, which has gained some great feedback. And we've also streamlined our information gathering processes to reduce the response times. We're seeing a reduction in the number of complaints escalating to stage 2, and this is a result of our focus on improving the customer journey throughout the early complaints process and working with other departments, particularly our property and assets colleagues, to secure speedy solutions. We have weekly meetings in place with our property and assets colleagues and contractors, as set out in point 2.5, which has helped spotlight complaints relating to repairs and voids and provide prompt and credible solutions and responses. This partnership approach has provided, or has proved, a valuable source of live information, and meetings are set to continue as we move forward. You will note that we have provided a copy of the operational action plan for improving complaints performance. This is a live and evolving plan, and we have provided this as a snapshot in time to support in providing further assurances around our continued performance improvement across complaints. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Tanya. So outside committee, we've got Councillor Barlow, please.
And again, so I'm not criticising it, but your pie charts, whatever, I don't quite understand. You've got percentages in there. 110% is completed in target, but 52% isn't completed on target.
They're not percentages.
They're not percentages?
I don't think they're percentages, are they?
It says, it says, and it says the percentage. I'm sorry, I'm being pernickety, but I just don't quite understand what it is.
We'll go to Andrew.
There's a comma in there, Councillor Barlow, so it's the number 110, comma, which is 68%. It's not overly clear. I did, to be fair, in fairness, when I first read it the first time, I thought it was 110.68%. So I fully understand, but yes, it's a figure and then the percentage, if that helps.
That makes perfect sense, thank you.
Yeah, Catherine?
Yeah, totally hear that. What we wanted to do, and this is something that we talked about previously here, we were presenting only percentages and we didn't get a concept of how many we were talking about. So then equally, when we were only talking about numbers, we then didn't have the percentages. So we've tried to combine them. Although I also hear you, because I did exactly the same as Andy when I read it and went, huh? And then had to work it out. So yes. So yeah, we'll work on the formatting to make it more clear, but we're trying to combine the two. No, because if we've all felt it, then we need to change it, don't we? Because if people read the report online, they'll be feeling the same thing. So we will amend it, but it's to enable us to show percentages and volume.
Thank you. Any other questions from outside committee? No, excellent, lovely. Moving into committee then. Any questions or comments from inside committee? No, this is. Wang, did you want to say something? Yeah, of course.
Hi.
I noticed that some requests disappeared from the system. So is there has done anything with it, please? Complaint.
Which part of the agenda? If you give us the page and reference, if you like, we can have a look at it for you.
With the back.
I think I haven't highlighted some complaints.
Yeah, we will address it further.
I forgot which page that was mentioning. Maybe afterwards I ask her.
I'm sure that if Wang finds that after, she could ask that question to you and you could help her out with that one. Yeah, that would be great. No worries at all. Okay, so if we don't have any more comments or questions from inside committee now, Councillor Goodman. But on this one occasion, I will let you speak because we haven't had many comments.
No,
as long as it's quick.
I just think it is right to mention that
I don't think your mic's on.
Where we were to where we are now, we should be really pleased with the progress we've made. And I didn't think we should discuss this item without acknowledging the phenomenal work that's been done. This is not by luck, this is sheer hard work that we've managed to get to where we are now.
See, I knew I brought you back in for a reason, Councillor Goodman. Thank you very much. So no more from inside committee. Excellent. So then this is just to note, agenda item 12, just to note. So that moves us on then to agenda item 13, which is the domestic abuse policy, which can be found on pages 50 to 76. And this is for Rebecca Meakin, Communities Manager, to present the report, please.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to run through the policy objectives and how we hope to achieve that moving forward. Okay, so the policy vision is survivor support and respect. The policy ensures survivors are treated with sympathy, support and respect, fostering a caring environment. Immediate assistance and disclosure. A survivor's disclosure triggers immediate advice and assistance to remove barriers to seeking help. Early access to services. The policy emphasises early access to services, enabling informed survivor decisions and timely intervention. Prevention and safeguarding. It promotes prevention by supporting perpetrators and safeguarding children and vulnerable adults from abuse. The core principles of the policy, inclusivity and community engagement. The policy promotes equal access, inclusivity and active consultation with diverse communities to ensure broad representation. Health, safety and trauma-informed care. Prioritising health and well-being. The policy applies trauma-informed approaches that foster safety and empowerment for survivors. We are going to do some additional training with our officers to make sure that we embed that in our policies moving forward, to change the narrative of a survivor thinking that it's their fault. I think that's really important and something that our Director of Housing really wanted to enforce into this policy. Sustainability and unified teamwork. The Council commits to reducing its carbon footprint and enhancing the environment through coordinated and unified teamwork. Person-centred and intersectional support. Services are tailored to individual needs, amplifying survivor voices and understanding diverse identities and experiences. Predict, target, prevent and deliver. Those are the objectives of this policy. Predict using data. Forecast needs by analysing crime data. Equality assessments with ongoing feedback. I've got some figures for you. In the year 2024, across Great Britain, 2.3 million people experienced domestic abuse. Of those figures in Devon and Cornwall, 18,230 of those are in part of our district. It affected mostly women aged 30 to 34, and also second were men aged 75 and older, which comes into, I think, elder abuse, which is a big thing, and I think that we kind of don't recognise that as a form of abuse enough. Young adults, highest prevalence rate for particularly for intimate partners, and 1 in 4 adults experience domestic abuse, and 30.3% were women, and 21.7% were men. Target high-risk individuals. We're going to focus resources on those with greatest needs using risk assessment tools like DASH checklist. Prevent through early intervention. Provide coordinated help, raise awareness and learn from audits and feedback to prevent domestic abuse. We are going to get some domestic abuse champions, which will be specifically trained staff within housing. And they will do some data feedback workshops and look at previous cases that we've had and how we've dealt with those cases and what we can do to improve them, improve our services moving forward. Prevent through early intervention, provide coordinated help, awareness and learn from audits. Also, I've just said that, do apologise. Deliver effective services, ensure high quality services meet standards, use resources wisely and incorporate continuous feedback. So actions moving forward, how are we going to deliver this policy over the coming years? Staff training and safe environments. We do staff training, but in my view and the view of other managers, this does not go far enough. We will have to do some investment in some more in-depth training for staff. Trauma-informed staff training, and that's going to be part of our training that we need to embed into our staff training. We don't really cover that enough, if at all. Housing staff and contractors, so it will include our contractors. They will also we'll work together with Ian Williams and Liberty Gas and other contractors to make sure that they are doing this training as well, because they are on the ground. They're probably they will probably need to be able to identify when domestic abuse is going on, because they're going into our tenants' homes. Creating safe environments, physical safety measures like locks and tamper-proof letterboxes are installed to protect survivors. I'll go into this a little bit further in a minute, but we are going to do an internal service called Detect and Protect, which I've been working with Nathan Muggeridge with, where we will be doing our own emergency response to domestic survivors. If they need lock changes, if they need extra security on their windows, if they need doors to be repaired, we will be their first port of call to make sure that that repair goes through with immediate effect. Coordinated multi-agency support. We already do a lot of work with multi-agencies, and we do quite a few referrals to Marek, ensuring joint support and safety planning across agencies. And working with other agencies and officers, partnership development. The council partners with local organisations to provide tailored support for tenants experiencing domestic abuse. We work alongside the Devon Domestic Abuse Alliance, which has now taken the place of Fear Free, and that was also known as Splits. Generic housing officers are trained specifically to handle domestic abuse cases and support survivors consistently. Like I said, we are going to introduce domestic abuse champions within housing. We already have actually quite a few across the board who are already specially trained, which is great. So that cuts our kind of time in half to introduce those into housing. Cross-agency collaboration, integrating housing, health, legal and social care services improves hostilic support for survivors. And community-wide response collaboration fosters resilience and promotes long-term recovery for survivors in our community. We're also going to be working towards a DAHA accreditation. So DAHA stands for Domestic Abuse Housing Alliance. They are a kind of one-stop shop for housing, social housing, where we can get advice. They recommend what we can do to help survivors of domestic abuse, and also give us a framework of what we should be incorporating into our policies and into our housing. Any social housing landlord should be gearing towards a DAHA accreditation, and that is what I'm hoping that this policy will help to achieve. Feedback and evaluation, survivor engagement. The council will actively involve survivors to gather insights into improved domestic abuse services and support. Continuous case reviews, ongoing case reviews and officer discussions help integrate lessons learned into daily practice effectively. DHA champions, like I said before, will run these insight sessions. Policy and training updates, regular policy reviews and updated training to ensure alignment with the legislation and best practice. I will be running a live action plan to make sure that this policy is monitored and the objectives are achieved, and I will do a quarterly review on that. Equality, inclusion and legislation. Commitment to equality and inclusion. The council ensures fair, sensitive and equal treatment for all tenants, supporting informed decision making. Tailored services for survivors. Services consider age, gender, sexual orientation, disability and socio-economic status to meet diverse survivor needs. Data-informed service delivery. National and local data guide service delivery and commissioning decisions to enhance effectiveness and responsiveness. Legal and policy framework alignment. The policy aligns with laws like the Domestic Abuse Act 2021 and Equality Act 2010, ensuring legal compliance and ethical practice. So our next steps and engagement. Domestic abuse awareness and trauma-informed training. Finalise trauma-informed training rollout for all relevant staff to improve support for effective individuals. Toolkit workshops for all frontline staff. Communities manager to roll out bespoke workshops for all frontline staff. Aims are to equip staff with practical tools and confidence to respond effectively and to promote a consistent and trauma-informed approach. I've already created that toolkit. We've discussed it at our managers meeting, and we'll be rolling that out in the new year. Enhanced collaboration with local agencies to build a robust network supporting domestic abuse. Community awareness campaign. Launch an awareness campaign to educate the community about available support services for domestic abuse. We'll be doing a lot of work on our website, making sure that the help for survivors is accessible, and I'll be working with Tim to do that. Feedback and monitoring. Implement systematic feedback collection and monitoring to evaluate and improve policy effectiveness. Detect and protect service. Like I said before, we've now got that in motion with Nathan, working with Nathan to roll that out. And that will be collaboratively working with property and assets team to prioritise emergency repairs. There we are. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Oh, look at these hands. Councillor Bailey, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much for that report. It's very important that people are kept safe in their own house. It's equally important that your officers and yourself, if you're visiting people, to try and sort out their problems, that you're safe as well. What system have you got in place that if you're going to a known abuser, in a household where there's a known abuser, that you have protection for yourself and your staff during the visit? Thank you.
Yeah, Hi. Yes, so we do have procedures in place to protect staff. So we have the what's the database? Sorry, Darren. What's the database called?
The non-work One Housing?
No, the to keep the
employer safety database.
Yes, so we have the employer safety database, where we have people who are a risk to staff on that database. We also make very detailed and confidential records within our system of One Housing. So we should be, if we identify that there is a risk at that property, we would then do either a 2-person visit or no visit at all.
Thank you.
think it's probably worth adding in there, Councillor Bailey, that the staff that go out on site on their own, and I'll be corrected here if I'm wrong in any way, but also have people, what we call people-safe devices, which connect to a live call centre should there be an issue, which tracks the GPS of those people when they're out on site. Something I use myself when I'm out on site on my own. They are a very good piece of equipment for the safety of the staff when they're out and about. Councillor Barlow, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your report. You said there was 2.3 million across the country, domestic abuse, and we had 18,000? So why are we so low compared to the national average? Is it because it's not being reported, or is it because we're just nice people? Nice people. Yeah.
Good people, Ian.
I think there are quite a few different elements to that. I think these are the only reported cases, so there is an incredible amount where it's not reported. We know that, and I think it's in different places where we live. You know, where you know our crime rate's lower than some of that in other parts of the country. So I would imagine that is why. Still pretty high numbers, though.
Thank you. Councillor Loudon, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Rebecca. Obviously, the issues that you've identified are difficult and challenging, but important that we discuss them, we highlight them, and I think the information you've provided today has got to give some reassurance certainly to the committee and to others about the way in which this council takes these issues very seriously. So I thank you for the report and what you're doing.
Thank you, Councillor Loudon. Councillor Goodman, please.
Thank you, and thank you for what is a very sensitive and difficult report to read. Just a couple of points. First, on equalities, impact, which is high, and I accept that. But I think for easiness, I'd have a reference in that column there to say, refer to your assessment, equalities assessment, which you've completed. On the equalities assessment, and I'm sure it's just a mistake, but on the gender, on page 60, it doesn't record which of the colours it goes into. I'm sure it's green, but it needs to say it. No, that's fine. The other thing is, on your risk assessment, you've identified the risks, the residue risk for them. Was this part of a bigger piece of work? Because a risk assessment would normally come with what the current process is and what you are going to do to improve it, and then what the residue risk. Because this doesn't tell me what the initial risk was, and I just wonder if it's part of a bigger piece of work, because what you were explaining was you're doing a lot more than's down here, which is very impressive. But I just wonder if it's part of a bigger piece of work that was done.
It's part of a bigger piece of work that we're currently doing across housing. So we are doing, we've just done our vulnerability indicators. We've made sure that they align across housing. And then we also are launching a tenant profiling survey, which will come out in January. And we are doing quite a lot of work on our diversity kind of needs and identifying gaps where we need to work on that. So it's a part of a bigger piece of work.
I think this brings back to, we know we've had an issue and we're trying to get proper and clear risk assessments done. And I know Simon Davies working on this. I would have thought this is a piece of work which would have needed your own risk assessment on what was wrong, and then the mitigation to actually do it. I just think it's something that I know Simon's working on, but I think we need to have those skills when this is such an important piece of work. Just trying to help.
Thank you very much for your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Westerman, please.
What are you trying to do to help the general community, not just people in social housing? How are you reaching those people?
Andrew?
This policy is specifically for the HRA, so for the regulated housing element of the council, and Rebecca works within housing. So this is about how we support our tenants, which is slightly nuanced from how a local authority or indeed a county council might support through its social care provisions. This is about how we as a landlord support tenants who've experienced domestic abuse.
Rebecca, did you want to come in? No?
Hi, and it does, if you look at the HRB report, you'll see that it does feed into our council plan, which does tackle domestic abuse as a whole through the district.
Yeah. I did check on the website, and there you say you're going to improve it, so hopefully it will improve it for everybody in the community. Yeah.
I'm just going to bring Catherine in. No. Okay, thank you. So coming into committee then, now, do we have any questions or comments? Councillor Burhart, please.
Thank you, and commend you for your report. I think it's an excellent piece of work. And you know, the statistics are quite striking, and you know, it's really relevant in this day and age. Of course, I would just draw your attention to in the policy itself. You've got equality, diversity and inclusion, and this is on page 76. I bear in mind that you haven't got it in front of you, but simply to say analysis of the most recent available national data at the time of publication of this policy shows us that, and then it quotes some statistics which you've actually referred to. Given that this policy could last for quite some time, you might just want to refer it to an age, if you like, so a year that those statistics refer to in that specific policy item, if that's okay. My only other point is we're going to spend a lot of time and effort and resources training our people, which is fantastic. A lot of that, the interaction with our tenants in particular, is through subcontractors, and how is this going to be filtered down to our subcontractors, and how will they, will it become part and parcel of a requirement on our subcontractors to adopt a similar sort of policy, please? Thanks.
Nathan?
Yeah, so we'll probably pick that up through actually building it into the actual contracts or amendments to those contracts, given the importance of this. And then it will need to keep we want to see it being briefed out through toolbox talks and etc. So not just do it once, let's keep it, you know, going all the time so it is front of mind with people.
Yeah, Catherine?
Just to provide some reassurance, there is an expectation on contractors currently as well to raise any safeguarding concerns that they see. So that could be any safeguarding. So that is part of our current agreement as well, just to offer that reassurance that that's happening at the moment.
The training that's rolled out for our staff will also include, so the contractors will be expected to do the same training from the same organisation.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to Councillor Parr then, please.
Thank you, Chairman. And following on from Councillor Barrett, we are going to quote these national statistics or this national data. And I wonder if somebody could clarify that 76% of survivors of domestic homicide were female. I'm not sure I understand what that means.
Rebecca, can you just give a bit of light on that one?
Or victims. It should be victims.
Victims, is it?
Yeah, it should be victims. Yeah.
That would make more sense. That's fine, that will be updated. Okay, no more questions or comments from inside committee. Yeah, Councillor Bailey.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to say well done, Rebecca. I think it's a good report. And as a councillor and a tenant, it's nice to know you've got all that in the background, and I think, you know, it's very sensitive, and I think you've done a great job on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Rob, please.
Again, I think you've done an amazing job, and it's just nice to know that that's happening out there, and it's stuff that I care about as well at the moment. I'd really like to link in with you at some point to talk more about this. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much. So there is a recommendation. It says notes and approves the updated domestic abuse policy. So we're noted, but can we just have a vote to approve the policy, if you like, from members on the board, just so everyone's happy and we cover both parts of that? Yep. So that's Councillor Bailey. Are you voting for it or? Yeah, sorry, I was just seeing everyone together. No problem at all. That's fine. So that's unanimous. Brilliant. Thank you ever so much. So that moves us on then now to agenda item 14, which is the electrical policy update, which can be found on pages 77 to 94. Nathan, to present this report, please.
So your eyes are not deceiving you. You did look at the electrical policy at last HRB, but given that it's never a dull moment in housing, we have to look at it again due to a change in the electrical standard of private rented housing. Government announced these changes back in June, so we've now had to update the policy. Changes include 5-year testing, providing those test certificates back to tenants, and any remedial works to be completed within 28 days. It's coming for any new properties from now, and we are adapting to that, and for any existing properties from May. The actual impact for us will be, very minimal, because we're already adopting this best practice, or have been adopting it, so the changes are not there. We're looking at how we can bring down our remedials ahead of that May deadline, and so the team are working through that at the moment. So our recommendations are that Housing Review Board recommend this to Cabinet as approval, and we also asked to stop us bringing it back again, that there's delegated authority provided to the Assistant Director for Housing to make any minor changes moving forwards.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nathan. Any comments or questions from outside of committee from anybody? No? Oh, Councillor Goodman, just. Well done.
I would just say that obviously the word minor is arbitrary. I'm just wondering whether or not Catherine would actually, in consultation with the director, the portfolio holder is responsible for this in conjunction with him, just, or her, if it was a her, in future, just so at oversight.
Thank you. Yes. Any more questions from outside of committee? No? Lovely. Inside committee? Any questions or comments? No? Okay, so no comments or questions from inside committee. So this policy does come with a recommendation, which I will let Giles read to you so you're aware of what it is.
Right, so there's two arms to the recommendation. Firstly, the Housing Review Board to recommend to Cabinet that they approve the proposed electrical safety policy. And secondly, request from Housing Review Board that delegated authority is given to the Assistant Director for Housing Regulatory Services to make minor changes to policy.
Is everybody happy and understand what that is, yeah? So do we have a proposer from inside committee? Councillor Dumpart, and do we have a seconder? Councillor Bailey, thank you very much. Is everyone in favour of that? So that's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Is Rob okay? He's in halfway limbo.
Rob, are you in the middle or are you? Oh, just checking, that's all. Okay, so that's agenda item 14. Just before we move on to agenda item 15, which is the exclusion of the press and public, I'd just like to pass over to Catherine for a quick update on the regulator, please.
Thank you. Just did a quick chat during our little comfort break earlier on with a couple of members. I just gave a verbal update on where we were in terms of our conversations with the regulator post-inspection. So I just felt that it was probably important that I just give you a quick, very, very brief update as to where we are, because we plan to bring a more detailed update back in January for you. But just to say that Andy and I have met with the regulator since the inspection, literally a couple of weeks ago, I think now, probably a week before last, and presented the initial stage of an action plan to them. And they were really happy with everything that we've got on the action plan, which is great, and actually didn't have any at the time, so they may well have, when they've got time for some further scrutiny, they may come back with some suggestions, but at the time, they told us they didn't have anything further to add. So we're now in a position where we now are making that action plan smart, because when we presented it, we just gave some kind of the kind of key areas of work that we felt needed to be completed to aim for that C1 accreditation. And and so now we're just going to improve that action plan, make it smart, put a RAG rating on the actions so that we're targeting the right things in the right order. And we will give you an update more formally in January, but it's very positive meeting, very positive next steps. And we've got a great team in the regulatory services, within the regulator of social housing and working with us. So it's really positive. We're really looking forward to the opportunity to develop further and aim for that C1. So just wanted to give you that very brief update to let you know there's more coming. I just realised there's probably been not much said about it since the last meeting, really. So, okay.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Chair.
much. Excellent. So that moves us on then to agenda item 15, which is the exclusion of the press and public. And I will hand you over to my vice chair.
That under Section 100A of the Local Government Act 1972 and in accordance with the Local Authorities Regulation 2012, the public be excluded from the meeting and exempt and private information is likely to be disclosed. And on the balance, the public interest is in discussing the item in a private session, Part B.
So I will just hold until we can make sure that all the feeds are off